Something happened at the Cleveland Browns rookie minicamp last week that barely made the national news cycle, and it should have. Because while the football world was busy reacting to Deion Sanders' planned meeting with Todd Monken and the Watson over Sanders minicamp edge narrative and the Shiloh sandwich controversy still generating aftershocks, while all of that noise was consuming every available headline, the actual football being played on the actual practice field at Cross Country Mortgage Campus was quietly producing the specific evidence that Todd Monken needed to feel the way he is clearly feeling right now. Extremely hyped. Genuinely, specifically, football honestly hyped. Not the diplomatic press conference version of hyped where a first-year head coach says the right things about his roster and moves on. The real version. The version where a 60-year-old coach who spent 37 years waiting for this specific opportunity walks off a practice field and the words coming out of his mouth are not managed or calibrated or strategically placed. They are spontaneous. Specific. The words of a football person who just watched something that made him feel the way football people feel when the players they have been imagining in their system finally appear on the field and look exactly like what the imagination promised. Awfully pleased. Great kid. Everything we heard has been true. Exciting. And then the one comparison that connected every piece of it to the specific football legacy Monken spent 3 years building in Baltimore. He compared KC Concepcion to Zay Flowers. That comparison, the specific, meaningful, Monken chose this name for a reason comparison between his new rookie receiver and the player who became one of the most dynamic offensive weapons in the NFL under his coordination in Baltimore is the shocking reason the head coach of the Cleveland Browns is extremely hyped about this squad. Not just happy. Not just cautiously optimistic. Hyped in the specific, football-informed, evidence-backed way that only comes when the pieces you have been assembling in your mind for months finally reveal themselves as real on an actual practice field. Tonight we explain every piece of it. Subscribe right now and let's go. Todd Monken and Andrew Berry compared Browns rookie receiver KC Concepcion to Zay Flowers because of his separation skills, twitch, and mentality. Dog pound daily. Zay Flowers. That name deserves its own paragraph. Zay Flowers is not just a good NFL wide receiver. Zay Flowers is the specific player who confirmed, in the Baltimore Ravens system under Todd Monken's coordination, that the scheme was everything the numbers from Georgia and Tampa Bay had promised it would be. In his first year in the NFL, working in Monken's offense alongside Lamar Jackson, Flowers caught 77 passes for 1,182 yards and 8 touchdowns. He was the offensive revelation of the 2023 NFL season. A player nobody outside of Boston College had fully evaluated, arriving in a scheme designed to maximize his specific gifts, and producing a rookie season that looked nothing like what most first-year receivers produce because the scheme created the specific space and freedom that his quickness and twitch demanded. Now Monken is looking at KC Concepcion, the Paul Hornung Award winner, the first-team All-American, the player who in 3 college seasons at 2 programs averaged 15 yards per reception and scored 25 touchdowns, and reaching for the Zay Flowers comparison. Not as a ceiling prediction. Not as a statistical guarantee. As a scheme fit identification. The specific observation that Concepcion's quickness off the line, his ability to create instant separation, his mentality as a competitor, these are the qualities that made Flowers so dangerous in this system. And these are the qualities Monken is watching on the practice field in Cleveland right now. Todd Monken said Concepcion's knee is great after what was described as a routine and preventative arthroscopic surgery ahead of the draft. Pro Football Network. The knee that created pre-draft concern is great. The first-round talent who slid to 24 because of the knee scope is healthy. He was on the field running routes at rookie minicamp. He was catching passes from Taylen Green, a 30-yard ball down the field that the coverage could not stay with because the quickness Monken just compared to Zay Flowers got him behind the defense before the defensive back could react. 30 yards. From a 6th-round rookie quarterback to a 1st-round rookie receiver. At the very first practice of the Monken era. That is not a significant data point in isolation. but as a preview, as the specific, visible, photographed and reported proof that the pieces Monken asked Barry to assemble are doing the thing those pieces are supposed to do. It is the most encouraging image from an early evaluation that anyone connected to this organization has produced since the rebuild began. KC Concepcion said, "We're going to be a special offense. Everybody has a different strength. So I just feel like if we can all put it together, we will definitely be an explosive offense. I'm just ready to work. I love competing. I'm just eager, excited. I'm ready to get to work." Pro Football Network. A special offense. Those are Concepcion's words, not Monken's. And they matter specifically because Concepcion is not a player with any organizational reason to perform optimism for the media. He just arrived. He does not know the playbook fully yet. He has not played a professional regular season snap. What he has done is spend his first week in a professional football environment absorbing Monken's system and the people running it, his new head coach, his new teammates, the specific collective energy of a roster that is building towards something, and his response to everything he has seen so far is that it is going to be special. Monken said about Concepcion and Denzel Boston, "I was awfully pleased with them today and how they functioned, got lined up. You can see their skill set, you certainly could today." He added about rookie management, "You just got to be careful of putting too much on their plate. But I was awfully pleased." Pro Football Network. Awfully pleased. The specific intensity of that phrase coming from a 60-year-old football coach who despises crappy football, who said publicly that he despises crappy football and that his teams will not produce crappy football and that every player who signs a contract with his name on it must prove every day that the contract was the right decision. Awfully pleased is the equivalent of enthusiastically validated from a man who sets high standards and does not pretend they have been met when they have not. Both receivers functioned. Both got lined up correctly. Both showed the skill set that the evaluations promised was there. On day one. In a professional setting for the first time in their careers. That is either confirmation that the evaluations were accurate or the most encouraging coincidence in recent Browns draft history. Monken does not believe in coincidences on football fields. Monken said about Taylen Green, "We did some things with Lamar, but he was already further along. But you can see that with Tay. You can see him from what he was at Boise to then getting with Bobby Petrino and the guys at Arkansas. He's come a long way. It's exciting to have him out here and let him just play through some things. I'm excited for him. He's a great kid and everything we heard about him so far has been true." Cleveland Browns community. He referenced Lamar. In the context of Taylen Green, everything we heard about him has been true. That is the coaching staff's assessment of Green's character, work ethic, and football intelligence after their first professional evaluation. The pre-draft reports that described a mature young man with strong makeup. The Barry quote about rare physical gifts and work ethic and acumen. All of it held up. All of it proved accurate on the practice field in the first week. That confirmation that the investment was sound, that the information they gathered before the draft was reliable, that the player they saw on film and evaluated in interviews is the same player who showed up in Berea on day one, is part of what has Monken extremely hyped. Because when your information was accurate, when the player is exactly what you were told he would be, the confidence compounds. You trust the next evaluation more. You trust the next decision more. The entire system of information gathering and player assessment that Barry and Monken built together proves itself reliable through the specific, visible, on-field confirmation that the players they selected are performing the way the scouting process predicted they would. Kirk Herbstreit recently appeared on a segment of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, where he gave his full support for Monken being the guy moving forward. Not only does Herbstreit believe Monken is a great coach, but he's under the impression that he's the right person and has the right attitude to bring this team in a positive direction. Sports Illustrated. Kirk Herbstreit. The ESPN analyst who has forgotten more about college football than most people know, who watched Monken build Georgia from the 49th ranked offense to back-to-back national championships, who has seen the system from the outside and evaluated it against every other offensive approach operating in football at every level, giving his full support. Not conditional optimism. Not we'll see how it translates to the professional level. Full support. The fact that Herbstreit is on board, that the most respected voice in college football analysis endorses the hire and the approach, is the kind of external validation that matters not because it changes anything the coaching staff is doing but because it confirms that the assessment of Monken's capability is not just organizational self-interest. It is the consensus of football people who have watched him work across multiple stops and multiple levels and multiple different rosters and consistently produced the same result. Better football. More points. More yards. More wins. The system works wherever it goes. Haslam Sports Group partner J.W. Johnson said about Monken, he's won at every level. He won in Tampa. He won at Georgia. He won in Baltimore. And now it's our time. National Today. Now it's our time. There is something genuinely moving about that specific phrase coming from one of the people who has watched this franchise struggle for 25 years. Not the diplomatic language of organizational optimism. The personal expression of a human being who has been through the losing seasons and the coaching changes and the Watson disaster and the 5-win 2025 and who looks at the specific hire they just made, at the man who won in Tampa and Georgia and Baltimore, and allows himself to say what Cleveland fans have been afraid to say for years. Maybe it is our turn. The projections from around the football world reflect the specific tension between the pessimism that Cleveland's recent history demands and the optimism that the evidence of what Monken is building justifies. Bleacher Report analyst Christopher Knox projected a 5-12 record for the Browns in 2026. Realistic expectation, 5-12. Offensively, GM Andrew Berry did take steps to improve the biggest non-QB 5-12 again. The Bleacher Report pessimistic case. And the specific logic behind it is honest. The quarterback situation is genuinely unsettled, the roster is genuinely young, the offensive infrastructure is genuinely rebuilt but genuinely unproven in professional competition. The 5-12 scenario exists. It is the scenario where Watson starts, gets hurt again, Sanders struggles again, and the organizational clarity that Monken's approach promises gets delayed by the same quarterback instability that has defined this franchise for a generation. Insider Mary Kay Cabot believes Cleveland can win as many as 10 games and contend for an AFC wildcard berth. Analyst Xavier Crocker has said that if the Browns' offense can improve significantly, they can reach the AFC Championship Game. ESPN. 10 wins. Wild card. AFC Championship. The full range of available projections runs from 5-12 to the conference title game, a span that represents the specific uncertainty of a team where the quarterback situation determines everything and the quarterback situation is genuinely unresolved. But what is not unresolved, what is showing up in practice footages and coaching staff praise and receiver comparisons to Zay Flowers and the awfully pleased from a man who despises crappy football, is the evidence that the pieces around the quarterback are better than they have ever been. Concepcion running a 30-yard route from Green and getting behind the coverage on day one of rookie minicamp. Boston at 6'3" with the catch radius Monken specifically identified as missing from Cleveland's red zone attack. Fano allowing 0 sacks in college and running a 4.91 40. The rebuilt interior with Howard and Jenkins and Johnson. The scheme from the same mind that coordinated the number 1 offense in the NFL in year 2 at Baltimore. All of it is real. All of it is present. All of it is the foundation that Monken is standing on when he says he is awfully pleased, extremely excited, jacked, the word he used when Fano was selected, the word that captures exactly how a 60-year-old football coach feels when the system he has been building in his mind for 37 years finally has the pieces to run it at full speed. The shocking reason Monken is so hyped about this squad is not one thing. It is the accumulation. The Zay Flowers comparison on day 1. The healthy knee. The 30-yard catch. The everything we heard is true about Green. The Herbstreit backing. The J.W. Johnson, now it's our time. The youngest team in the NFL learning the system of the man who turned the 49th ranked college offense into a national champion in 3 years. All of it compounding into the specific feeling that a football person gets when the preparation and the execution and the talent are finally aligned in the same direction. The feeling that Monken can barely contain in the press conference. The feeling that Concepcion expressed when he said we are going to be a special offense. The feeling that every piece of evidence from rookie minicamp and OTAs and the early stages of installation is generating for anyone watching closely enough to see it. Extremely hyped. Awfully pleased. Jacked. The football is coming. And based on everything that has already happened on that practice field, the catches, the comparisons, the confirmations, the wait is going to be worth it. Warning disclaimer, this video is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. All quotes, statistics, and information are sourced from 247 Sports, Yahoo Sports, Yardbarker, Dog Pound Daily, Browns Nation, and other credible NFL media outlets. All analysis and projections are editorial opinion only. This channel is not affiliated with the NFL or Cleveland Browns.